This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the morning of Friday, April 25th, 2025. I'm Alex Brown. Ateos Systems, a battery startup headquartered in the Greene County town of Newberry, was named one of two winners of the Titletown Tech Startup Draft Pitch Competition in Green Bay on Thursday. The company, which has developed a platform for manufacturing battery electrodes without toxic solvents or forever chemicals, is receiving a $1 million investment. CEO Rajan Kumar.
When we moved our company to the Midwest, it was for the history of manufacturing. And you see with this Titletown, there's so much reinforcement of manufacturing from shipbuilding, paper, and even batteries. And we're excited to be part and tapping into that ecosystem. I'm incredibly honored to represent the company for this award, but all credit really goes to our team, our partners, and investors. They're the ones who've bought into our vision, our model, and have constantly challenged us to get to this point. And this investment is just going to unleash us.
The company, which currently employs 10 in Newberry, is currently fundraising in order to expand to a larger facility and add more jobs. A federally designated Midwest hub that seeks to accelerate clean hydrogen production is on hold, according to our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana. The Midwest Alliance for Clean Hydrogen, or MACH-H2, was selected in 2023 to receive up to $1 billion from the U.S. Department of Energy to produce so-called blue hydrogen at or near the BP refinery in Whiting. However, President Donald Trump signed an executive order on January 20th that paused the disbursement of funds appropriated through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which includes funding for the hydrogen hub. Indiana Congressman Frank Mervan says he'll continue to work with Congress and the administration to ensure the hydrogen hub project comes to fruition. Bethel University Athletic Director Tony Natale will retire from his full-time role on August 1st, the university announced Thursday. He will remain on staff as a consultant and advisor through the 2025-26 academic year to facilitate the leadership transition, though a timeline for finding a successor was not known. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
To succeed, you need to stay informed. You need to be engaged. And let's face it, you need to set yourself apart from the rest by connecting with a company that brings you the best. Because in today's environment, business is an ever-moving target, and we'll help you chase it. IBJ Media. The best of business is in us. Get started at ibjmedia.com/youngprofessional.
The Indiana Supreme Court is scheduled to hear oral arguments in a dispute between the Monroe County Board of Zoning Appeals and Bedford Recycling over the revocation of the company's permit to operate a scrap metal recycling business.
The zoning board unanimously approved the application in September of 2021. A month later, national conglomerate Republic Services, a competitor of Bedford Recycling, petitioned for judicial review of Bedford Recycling's permit. Originally, the zoning board stood by its decision. But several months later, after both a private meeting and a public meeting, it voted to revoke Bedford's conditional use permit. Bedford then sought judicial review of that revocation. The Monroe Circuit Court sided with Bedford, saying there was no error of law and that the conditional use permit should be reinstated. However, the Indiana Court of Appeals overturned that decision, siding with Republic's position that Bedford's proposed operation did not meet the county's requirements to be a central garbage rubbish collection facility. The Institute for Justice, a Virginia-based nonprofit that works to protect individual liberties, filed an amicus brief supporting its client, Bedford Recycling, on Monday, saying, quote, "A ruling in favor of Bedford Recycling would protect Hoosiers against this type of anti-competitive weaponizing of zoning laws," end quote. The state's justices will hear the case on June 5th in Indianapolis. I'm Mark Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
In addition to an independent audit of the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, Governor Mike Braun on Thursday announced the state is freezing all funds designated for venture capital firm Elevate Ventures amid mounting criticism of its relationship with the state. The announcement comes days after a wide-ranging report by Hannah News Service called into question the governance of the IEDC and Elevate. Braun said his office found potential wrongdoing between the entities and reported it to the Office of the Inspector General. That office said it would not provide a comment on any cases it is investigating. All funds related to Elevate Ventures, which the state has partnered with for years to provide seed funding for startups, will be frozen until further notice, according to Indiana Secretary of Commerce David Adams. Be Free founder Jennifer Weesey is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio On Demand.